we had a line of supplements that were so successful. I almost died claim was complete bullshit. People sue you and they try to get easy payouts and it sucks. There were 3 trainers on the show. Each trainer had their group of contestants. One of the contestants, who was not mine, came into the finale and she looked like she had come out of a concentration camp. I'm not exaggerating. But she did it to win, right? Because that was what was fundamentally wrong with the show, to be dead honest, was it was whoever lost the most weight won. I quit that week permanently.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Rise Podcast, Life Stories of Accomplished Individuals. Today, things are a little different. Today, I'm stepping my game up because today I have Jillian Michaels on. So usually what I do is I go into your accolades right away to establish credibility, but because you and I are buddies, I just want to kind of chat a bit first and just say, what's up? What's up, Jillian?
Oh my gosh. Hi, sweetie. Just the usual chaos.
So it seems.
Yeah, with kids, with work, with this and that. And then we have this wedding. I say this wedding, our wedding coming up. And it's been creating a bit of insanity. So I can't complain, you know?
When's the big day?
Well, we're married, as you know, but the celebration is in Italy the weekend of June 24th through June 26th.
Awesome. Look, that's great. You know, Jillian, you and I met back in January, and it's funny because we've probably spent in total maybe 90 minutes together, but I already have so many fond memories with you, and I feel like I already have these core memories that I've established. Do you remember? So we met in Dubai. And do you remember how you and I got lost in the garden?
Of course. And our wives just left us.
That's right.
I remember that.
That's right.
Yeah, they just took off.
So you and I started chatting. We were like so engaged in conversation that we were just walking kind of in a general direction because the property that we were on is like so complicated, and we just got lost and we just kept talking, and we eventually found our wives, and so it all worked out in the end. And then we made plans. We met up in Miami. I got to the dinner, and then I got a call because Benjamin, our son, our 8-year-old, ate a peanut and had a reaction, and I had to bounce. So you guys had dinner, the 3 of you.
Yes, we did. And it prompted me to do a podcast with an allergist, like a world-renowned person who specializes in allergies. So okay. that show hasn't come out yet. I got to send you that link. But it was literally that dinner that I just thought, this is crazy. You know, I could take this kid to the emergency room, poor thing. There's got to be a better way. Yes, you were father of the year, that's for sure.
You know what? And I was thinking to myself when it happened, I'm like, okay, do I let Valeria go and handle it? Or, you know, because I really wanted to stay with you guys. And I'm like, okay, do I let Valeria handle it? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna probably like feel the pain if I don't go, because I knew it wasn't a big deal. He just had a little bit of peanut. So in any case, I think I made the right decision.
I understand. I agree. I think you would have paid had you not gone. I appreciate exactly where you're coming from.
All right. Okay, Jillian, I want to get into your accolades. The only problem with your accolades, it's going to take me a minute. Because there's a lot of stuff going on here. So bear with me. And, you know, you've made it easier because there's actually like a whole elaborate Wikipedia page on you. And I was able to sift through. So bear with me as I read this, as I read the tale of the tape here. Give me a second here. Okay. Here we go. So, Jillian is a renowned fitness, nutrition, and self-help expert known for many things, including her show in 2015. Including her appearance on the NBC series The Biggest Loser. She's also appeared on The Doctors, the talk show in 2015, created a spin-off series from The Biggest Loser called Losing It with Jillian. She co-hosted and co-judged the series on Spike's Sweat Inc., and in 2016, her reality TV series titled Just Jillian premiered on E! Now, if that wasn't enough, you've won an award. You've won awards from both Apple and Google for your app, which is called the Fitness app, which currently has 5.4 thousand reviews on the Apple Store alone, with an average star rating of 4.7. Jillian has released 20 fitness DVDs that have sold over, and this blew me away, because the number I'm going to say, you've sold over 100 million copies worldwide. Yeah. You're like Drake. You're like selling so many copies of your DVDs. So 100 million copies. You've authored 9 books, 8 of which are bestsellers in the category of health and wellness. Since 2011, you've been the host of your own podcast, Keeping It Real. In 2008, Jillian launched a company called Empowered Media, where she released her fitness video membership site called fitfusion.com. And FitFusion also broadcasts on AT&T Uverse, Broadband TV, Bell Satellite TV in Canada, as well as Roku, Apple TV, Fitness On Demand. Look, it goes on. You're in the Marriott and the Hilton and the Shangri-La. And there's also your philanthropic endeavors, which is the UNHCR, which I won't pretend I know what that is, but the NFL's Play 60 and various animal welfare causes. And if that's not enough, you're a mother of 2. And
yes, there are 2 of them.
There are 2 of them. There are 2 of them. And you know what's funny? Because when you go through this, Jillian, this is like a real, like standing in the presence of greatness kind of thing. And you're very humble about it. You're very sneaky and humble, because when someone meets you the way I met you, like, unless they go digging for this stuff, they're not going to find it. So that being said,
life humbles you. I think that's what it is. If life treated you like you were something special, then you might believe it. But Hillary Clinton once said, "I get credit for all kinds of things I had nothing to do with. I get blamed for all kinds of things I had nothing to do with." And the truth is really somewhere in the middle. And it really is. You get your ass kicked by life on a regular basis. I promise that will humble you. And you realize you're not as great as some people think you are. You're not as bad as other people think you are. You're just a regular person.
Yeah, but better to believe that you are versus trying to convince yourself that you are, right?
Better to believe that you're great, or better to believe that you're kind of normal, regular?
I don't know. It's like a confidence thing. Look, I think it's based on the individual. If for you humbleness works, for you to achieve the things you continue to achieve, then so be it. For me, I gotta like pump myself up. I gotta convince myself a little bit that I'm somebody I'm not. So I think it goes.
What do you mean? You've built a huge brand. You were successful before that. I don't think that's true, but I do understand the. I was just watching. I hate TikTok, but for some reason, I had to go on there the other day to watch a reel that our little social media kid wanted me to replicate, and it. Sir Anthony, was it Anthony? Oh my God, the guy who played Silence of the Lambs. Cannot remember his name, but I believe he's knighted.
Anthony Hopkins.
Thank you. Yes, yeah. Thank you. I'm going into early onset Alzheimer's, and he was like, if you don't believe it, if you don't commit to it, if you don't subscribe to your greatness." And I thought maybe that's some of the things that have gone sideways. Maybe that's what I've done wrong. But I really do think the reality is I've been fortunate. And in large part, success is a matter of attrition, right? It's learning from mistakes and continuing to reapproach more intelligently. And if you do that, over time, success will be inevitable.
Yeah. But you gotta have that patience. Jillian, when Valeria asked me, I remember, after we had dinner, she's like, what do you think of Jillian? Like, and I said, Jillian is like the friend I didn't know I needed, but I absolutely have to have. That's how I describe you to people. You're just, I love that. You have such a magnetic personality, and it's the positivity radiates out of you. And there are people who believe it, and there are people who kind of program themselves to be positive, because we all know in this day of social media that it's important to have that mindset. But you are it. You live it. So, anyways, I want to get into. Well, you're very welcome. And look, the premise of this podcast and what I'm trying to achieve here is, I'm trying to dive in and kind of do like an autobiographical or a biographical, because I'm not talking about myself. It's a biographical account about, you know, a person's a notable and accomplished person's life and how they got to where they got.
Sure.
A little bit of context, and I thought this was really cute. Did you know? And because I saw your birthday, did you know that your birthday? Well, you know when your birthday is. My birthday is February 16th.
Ah, I like
Yes.
that. A February baby. I don't subscribe, believe it or not, to astrology, but when I meet fellow Aquarians, it does touch my heart a little bit, not gonna lie.
Yes, you are 2 days away from me. 2 days and a year, and I'm the
Who's
older
older?
one.
Me. Oh,
I'm
good.
older. I'm older. I'm older. Okay, Jillian,
Oh,
I
like
want
that
to
even better.
I want to jump into your life, and I want to get an understanding. So I know that you were born in Los Angeles. You come from Los Angeles. Talk to me about, and I also know I shouldn't do too much digging because then I end up answering my own questions. But I also know your mom was a psychotherapist and your dad was a lawyer. So talk to
Yes.
me about kind of your early life and the circumstances under which you grew, like in which you grew up.
Well, my mom achieved her doctorate in psychoanalysis later in life. So I watched her work very hard over the course of my childhood to go back to college, graduate from college, get her master's, um, then go back to school again and get her PhD. Uh, my mom is a really incredible woman. She thought she was stupid growing up, dropped out of high school, went back, got her GED, and the long and the short of it is she graduated magna cum laude with a PhD in psychoanalysis. So uh, she's a living example that if you believe in yourself, as you were saying, anything is possible. And it's interesting how often we underestimate our true potential. My dad um, is an attorney. He's retired, subsequently retired, but he was a very successful attorney.
Mm-hmm.
So both my parents have advanced degrees. They were not happy when I dropped out of college. So that didn't go over
Mm-hmm.
great. But if only guys like Zuckerberg and Bezos and Jobs had been around to drop out of college and become billionaires a little bit earlier, they might have stomached it better. But I believe strongly that if you find something you love and you master your craft, your success is ultimately limitless. So I grew up with these two savages, and they're both very different people. My mom gave me a deeper understanding in my work of why people do the things they do, why they engage in destructive habits and subsequently repeat them, which helps me facilitate change in people's lives because it usually starts with their mental health, right?
Mm-hmm.
With what they believe about who they are and what their limitations are. And when you can shine some light there and they become stronger physically, it allows them to be stronger and more resilient emotionally. So the two kind of go hand in hand. And I'm grateful for that. My dad, being a lawyer, was a rule breaker. I find the most interesting thing about attorneys is that they know exactly how to bend the law, not necessarily abide by it. So
Really, they bend the law. You would think that they would uphold the law, but I guess they use it to their advantage.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. So I think that it gave me just enough of the ability to break the right rules because I like laws. You don't want to go to jail. Nobody wants to go to jail, but rules should be questioned. And if you feel that you can tolerate the consequences and nobody gets hurt by you breaking some rules, I think, to the victor comes the spoils, right? Nothing ventured,
Yeah.
nothing gained. So I definitely got that risk-taking quality from my dad.
So at what point? So okay, I know that again. Just doing my research on you, I know that, and I'll say this like I guess in a polite way. I don't mean to offend you, but you were overweight at the age of 13. You were overweight at the age of 13.
That doesn't offend me at all. Yeah, it doesn't offend me at all. My dad has a very addictive personality.
Mm-hmm.
He's better now, I think. He's an interesting guy. But the days of 8 balls in 1985 are done for him, which is great news.
Okay.
So that said, food was one of his addictions. And it was one of the ways that I learned to relate with him and vice versa. So he is a great chef. He would make ice cream at home or cook for me, or we would go to our favorite chicken shawarma place or our favorite burrito place. And it was just one of the ways he could relate to me or knew how to care for me. So food became a connection with my father. It also became control for me. It became comfort for me. And it wasn't until I got into martial arts that my martial arts instructor, who became like a second father to me, began to demand more. And
Right.
he basically gave me an ultimatum and was like, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to care more than you care. So I can put my finite amount of energy and effort into the places it's going to make the biggest difference. You let me know if that's going to be you. And when I got thrown out of the karate studio, I made the decision that it was going to be me, after pitching a little tantrum about it, and began a journey towards becoming who I am today.
But that could have gone, that sounds to me like a very pivotal moment. That could have gone the other way easily, right? That you have to take credit for that, because when he said to you, look, I don't give a shit. Like, I'm not going to invest my time. I'm not going to want you, what you just said, he said, I'm not going to want this more than you want it. So you could have been just like, whatever, screw it. Like, I don't want it. And then that would have been that, and you wouldn't be you. So the fact that, like, what about you psychologically in that moment when he said, I'm out unless you're in, what made you, what was that switch that flipped that said, no, I got to be in?
People don't change unless they're ready to change.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what you do, no matter how you role model it, no matter how much you try to inspire them, no matter how much you try to connect them to a why so they can tolerate the how, which is the work and the sacrifice associated with the goal, no matter how much you try to scare them into changing, they don't do it until they're ready to do it. Generally, what makes them ready to do it is a rock bottom moment.
Yeah.
I was being bullied in school. My parents were getting divorced. And this was my only safe space, my only sense of community, and the only thing in my life building a sense of worth and accomplishment. So to lose it begot a rock bottom moment. And then it became, all right, what's providing me more? Belonging to this community or what the food is providing me? And it turns out that the community was in fact more important. And I do believe he knew that. And you'll see that when I work with people, there's empathy. Empathy is, I understand that this is not easy, but this is what's expected of you. This is your potential. And I expect you to do it and not beget old patterns where you are now victimizing yourself. So it's one thing to be a victim as a child, but we grow up, we repeat the pattern, we internalize it, and then we end up creating these messes in our lives by repeating the pattern, whether it's conscious or not. So, I myself, I'm like, listen, I don't really care. This is your life. Like, I like what I do, and I know that I can have an impact, no matter how big or how small, on someone's journey towards better quality of life. If it's you, fantastic. If it's not, that has nothing to do with me. With that said, then you also have the skill set that I was given from my mom and years of doing what I do and being in my own therapy to understand how to create that awareness and that epiphany, and then give them the tools to try to make change and refer them to therapists when appropriate. But he knew exactly what he was doing, I think, when he took that risk, if it makes sense.
It does make sense. What was your hardship? Like, when you were young, what was hard? Like, what was the thing that you needed to overcome? And I'm asking because I'm trying to show people that we all have our thing. We all have our thing that we had to, and we continue to have to fight with. I mean, I got a whole list of shit that I fight with. But
me too. God damn.
But back then, I think that's the biggest. It's funny because we get given that, like, the biggest mountain to climb early on is getting over that hump. So what was your mountain? Like, what was that thing that you had to get over to start this path that you're continue to be on?
At that age, I would tell you that it was a lack of belief in my ability to achieve and my worthiness of having good things. The belief in your ability, I gotta get a new chair. Every time I do an interview, by the way, they're like, your chair is creaking a lot. And every day I'm like, I'm gonna buy a new chair, and then it just never happens. The belief in your ability, in my opinion, has to come through achievements. You can't believe in a reality you haven't experienced. What's so great about fitness is that it's a quick fix to these problems. So if somebody has this identity of like, I was the funny fat guy, I was the last kid picked in PE, I was the least athletic, and you get them to do something physically they never thought was possible, like, oh my God, I just ran a mile. Oh my God, I just did a push-up on my hands and feet. Oh my God, I just did a pull-up. All of a sudden, it shatters this prison of beliefs that they've built, and it opens up an infinity of possibilities. So through achievements in martial arts that I never thought was possible,
Yeah.
I began gradually to believe in my ability to achieve. In addition to believing in my martial arts instructor. So the fact that he believed in me and I believed in him created this virtuous cycle, if you will,
Yeah.
where it's like, okay, well, you know, you think I'm the pro. I know you can do it. So then you know you can do it. So do it.
So,
And oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
no, I was going to ask you. So, okay, so when did you start? Like, where did you go to school?
God,
Education wise,
throughout the
but
years.
like college or whatever. What did you do?
Dropped out of college. Dropped out of California State University Northridge in year two. Didn't make it.
Okay. So your parents are both like heavily educated people, right? They're professionals in their respective fields. So how was their reaction to you dropping out of school?
Yeah,
okay.
Very poor, very poor. But you know, this was also such a different time. Everybody I speak to from our generation has that, you know, I walked to school uphill both ways in the snow story compared to millennials and Zs who are so sick of hearing it. But the reality is that at 17 years old, I was out of the house. I was supporting myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was sleeping on friends' couches. I was living out of my car. My parents were like, if you're going to drop out of college, you are absolutely on your own. I graduated high school early, so I was out at a younger age, 17 versus 18. And, you know, you find a way. And that really is the part where if you find something you love and you work to be excellent at it,
so
success is limitless. Universe will conspire.
I noticed that too. I mean, yeah, we won't get into my shit, but look, my question to you is when you dropped out of college, how old were you?
18. It was about a second year, so 18 and a half.
So I'm trying to trace your steps. I'm trying to go from 18, drop out, you know, surf. I was gonna say couch surfing, like sleeping on different couches of your friends. Your parents are like, Jillian, you're cut off. You know, that's it. So you went from there to that whole long list of shit that I went over that you've accomplished and everything in between along the way, and you help so many people. At that point, because I'm trying to pinpoint it, because a lot of people are in this situation when they're young, they feel like they're screwed, they don't know what to do, and they're trying to understand their next step. What was your next step that got you on this path?
I got a job. I think I got a job, any job I could get.
What was that job?
You know, okay, I started out at a yogurt shop, then as a hostess at a little restaurant on Ventura Boulevard called Stanley's. Mm-hmm. Then I realized I would make more money waitressing, so I started applying for waitressing jobs and ended up at a place in Century City called Trips. And at the same time, I was training for my black belt. So by the time I was 18, people were coming up to me in the gym asking me if I was a fitness trainer. So I started doing that on the side.
Yep.
And then at this place called Trips, I realized that I would make more money as a cocktail waitress. So I got into that, and they knew I was underage. But they let me be a cocktail waitress. When I tried to get behind the bar, they wouldn't allow it. But the security guards didn't know I was underage. So the security guards were like, oh, there's a bartending job opening up at the Mayan if you're interested, which was this huge nightclub downtown. So I went and got a job bartending. So by the time I was 19, I had a full list of clients that I was training during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and I was bartending at night,
Mm-hmm.
and I was making really good money by that time. So it was 2 years of a lot of panic, a lot of chaos, and I took it all for granted, to be dead honest with you, because I was just having a great time. I was bartending and I was at the gym, and there was no thought of building a career until
Mm-hmm.
biggest mistake ever. Someone told me like, oh, you can't be a bartender and you can't be a trainer when you're 30. So what are you going to do? So I ended up getting a job in the entertainment industry.
Sorry, what
Faked
was
a
the
college,
mistake? Sorry, you said it's a big mistake. What was the mistake? Did you
getting a
feel that's
job in the enter. Yeah, that would never been more miserable and never made less money. And the lesson is that the more security you seek, the
Mm-hmm.
less you'll have. But the more you pursue the things you're passionate about, per Oscar Wilde, the more the universe will conspire on your behalf, as it had done when I was going about my life very organically and authentically. So
I
I
can
worked
attest.
my.
I can attest to
Oh
that.
yeah.
Sorry, I can attest to
Oh
that. I
no.
think you're absolutely right because for me, whenever I'm in a situation where I'm trying to get more security and I'm trying to gain more, mostly we're talking about financially. It's always running. I'm always chasing and it's always running. But
Yep.
and it's actually funny. That's the genesis of this podcast because this podcast for me. There's no revenue model here. There's just me doing what I'm passionate
Yep.
about and talking to accomplished people about how the hell they did it. So in any case, sorry,
No, I
please,
totally get it. I agree.
yeah, okay.
I,
So you got this entertainment job. What was the entertainment job?
I ended up working my way up again and became a motion picture packaging agent at a talent agency called ICM, which has, I believe, subsequently been absorbed by
Mm-hmm.
CAA. And the very long and the short of it is that that was from 24 to 27. Um, Ended up not working in the entertainment industry, which is again a much longer story, but it did allow me to become savvier at business. It did create contacts in the entertainment industry that subsequently ended up putting me on Biggest Loser.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, so it did
What
pay
year?
off, but
What year
what
was
year was
Biggest
that?
Loser?
I was 30. So it was like
Okay, I don't need to know the year. I just wanted to know your age at the time. Yeah,
2004, 2004, I think.
yeah, yeah. That's about right. 2003, 2004. Okay, so you got onto The Biggest Loser. You're 30 years old. I guess my question is that you're like you're on a TV show. You went straight from having this kind of, would you call it a corporate job, what you were doing before?
Yeah, at ICM, yes. But then I
Yeah.
left ICM at 27 and I got back into training, ended up opening up a sports medicine facility.
Oh wow. Oh, so
So by
you
the
were
time
entrepreneur.
that,
You were an entrepreneur right after that. So you missed that.
yeah,
You missed that 3 year stint as an entrepreneur. That's pretty serious.
there, it was an interesting road because I didn't have a pot to piss in, but I
Mm-hmm.
had clients over the course of that time period that believed in me, training clients, fitness training clients,
Mm-hmm.
again, that believed in me and ended up investing in a sports medicine facility called Sky Sport and Spa, which I ended up selling to another trainer who kind of made a mockery of the business down the road. But nevertheless, I had opened up this facility, and yeah, and then the opportunity for Biggest Loser came along, which no longer allowed me to work at my gym and sports medicine facility. So then I ended up moving into the world of media.
And you were there. Okay, so that was the transition. You were from corporate entrepreneur, and then you got into The Biggest Loser, which was like already that's television. So you were there for 2 seasons, I believe. Did I understand correctly? More,
The
no,
Biggest
more.
Loser, 10 years.
Sorry, I apologize. My mistake. You were there for 10.
That's
You were there for
yeah,
10
10
years.
years.
You were on Biggest Loser for
10
10
years.
years. So did you do anything else in that 10-year period, or were you kind of locked in
Oh yeah.
contractually?
Television, no, but you are in the ecosystem of NBC Universal. So you're contributing on the Today Show, you're on Access Hollywood, and all of those things. Books, yes. DVDs, yes. Online, because at the time it was websites. So a website-based club for fitness, yes. Licensing deals, you name it, we did it, which was part of the rub with NBC and the producers of Biggest Loser is that they had no idea what the show would beget with regard to results.
Yeah.
So it didn't occur to them to try to lock me up as a brand. And they were in a constant state of competition. So it was like the Biggest Loser brand and the Jillian Michaels brand. And it would just make them furious. And it created a lot of tension within that dynamic, unfortunately.
Let me ask you something. I want to back up for a sec. And maybe you said it and I missed it, but how did that happen? How did you even get access to that? Because you were doing, when you had this facility of yours, this was very different than being on television. So did you get discovered? Did you get scouted? How does that work?
The agents that I worked with at ICM for those 3 years
Right.
were clients at my gym, because the whole time I
Oh.
was an agent, they were always coming up to me asking me fitness advice. Then I became a trainer, and they ended up coming to me and my gym and my facility, my massage therapist, my chiropractors, my physical therapist. So one of them had heard about this job at NBC and was like, I think you'd be perfect for it. Then I didn't like the name of the show, but I ended up going in because he's like, you're crazy. You got to go in. It's a major network show. Just go in. And I ended up getting that job.
So, okay,
Obviously.
you got to take me through this, because I think because you grew up in LA, it's like normal every day. Like, there's celebrities everywhere and people go and they're on big shows all the time. But to the rest of us all over the world, it's kind of, it's a big deal. So you walk into this, I guess, this studio, you have no media experience. Like, you've never been in front of a camera before, right? Like in a meaningful way, or have you?
No, I
No.
had not.
So
No.
at that point, what's going through your mind when you're kind of, I guess it's called reading, you're reading for this part? Because I read for a part too. I read for the it's called Dragon's Den, and I was supposed to be one of these. It's like the Shark Tank. Actually, Shark Tank is based on Dragon's Den. It's originally a Canadian concept. And I
love
read
that
for
idea,
it.
yeah.
I read for it and I was like, what am I doing here? But for you, when you got there and your career to date had nothing to do with the entertainment industry, what's going through your mind when you're reading for this part?
Well, you're not really reading for the part. That's why I was able to do it. It was an interview. They're like, what do you
Okay.
do? How do you do it? What do you think about this? What would you do about that? How would you handle this scenario? What diet do you subscribe to? That kind of stuff. So it was just an interview. So it was very easy to answer those questions. What's your story? Where do you come from? Why do you do this job?
So did
What's
you
your
prepare?
fitness philosophy?
Did you
No.
prepare for this? You just walked in, was like, "What's up? I'm Jillian. How's it going?"
Well, but I already was prepared because
It's your real life,
what's your fitness philosophy?
right?
What diet do you
Okay.
subscribe to? What's your story? So there is no studying. It already is my craft. And it had
So
been for
when you
years.
got it, so when you got the call back saying, "Okay, like we're offering you this, I guess it's a part or this role, I don't know what you call it, but what was going through your mind when they called you with this? Like what?
We then had there were four people in the mix. One was Harley Pasternak,
Mm-hmm,
and then Bob Harper, and then it was
mm-hmm.
myself and another trainer named Jeanette Jenkins. And we then had to basically take a producer and train that producer for 2 weeks. And my producer lost 15 pounds in 2 weeks, and I got the job. So I got the job. But I happen to know Jeanette, and she's a fantastic girl. So
How did you
probably
find
would
that
have been
experience
just as good.
when you were working?
Um,
So is it like, did you feel like, at what point were you like, shit, like people are stopping me in the street and I'm kind of famous now? Did that happen? Was there like a kind of that pivotal moment where you felt, okay, like something's going on
there
here?
was a moment where I'll never forget that I had met Mary Steenburgen, I think on the
Mm-hmm,
Rachel Ray show,
mm-hmm.
who's also married to Ted Danson. And we'd become friendly. And she invited me up to her house in Ojai for New Year's of 2010. And I went up there with my friend Vanessa. Um, and I remember Ted told me this story about when suddenly you walked out of the house one day and the energy, because Cheers had actually been a massive failure. And I cannot remember, it was a very
Really?
famous executive who was in charge of it, yes, who believed in the show. And it obviously became number one over the course of, I don't know how many seasons. And he basically was like, I'll never forget the day I walked out of the house and everything was different. And I could just feel this energy, that people knew who I was. And there was it's hard to explain. I don't want to put words in his mouth. But there was a moment where you start to feel like, okay, you have infiltrated pop culture fairly effectively,
Mm-hmm.
and you can feel that people are aware of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I've never been Julia Roberts. You know what I mean? I'm not Pink. So nothing has ever felt overwhelming or invasive. The
Right.
one thing about being public facing that really sucks, that I would trade if I could, is the fact that you just have a much bigger target on your back.
Mm-hmm.
I know
In what
so
in
many
what way?
business wise, it's so much easier to destroy you because all you need is one bad headline.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of friends who I just went to dinner with one of my wife's best friends and her husband, and this woman's husband is in private equity and he's exited like 10 companies and he's super successful, and he tries to get his name out of every press release. He's like, I don't need the attention, because he knows that if he is forward facing, people are going to go after him. They're going to try to cancel him. They're going to try to sue him. So when you're forward facing, you're just a much bigger target. It's like walking through a really bad neighborhood naked, dripping in diamonds. It
Yeah.
sucks. You
No,
spend so much of your day playing defense, you
I
know?
hear what you're saying, and it's funny because being in this situation, because I relate to it because of Valeria, but being in the situation, it's like you want to be able to express yourself and you want to be able to say whatever's on your mind, whatever opinion you have about whatever matter. The problem is that any opinion you may have, and you're pretty outspoken, right? And which is cool. I mean, you should be,
Yeah.
but you always have to know that you're going to have to potentially deal with something, and it has like a real financial consequence. It's not like it's just this, oh, whatever, people will dislike me. It could have a financial consequence.
That I'm not so afraid to speak the truth, because where it's relevant for my profession. That's my
Mm-hmm.
job. I will stand firmly in it. And I think I owe that honesty to people, whether they like it or they don't. The kind of stuff I'm talking about is you could have a line. We had a line of supplements that were so successful.
Mm-hmm.
It was years ago, all organic. And at the time, it was called Fat Burner, not Metabolism, not pre
Mm-hmm.
workout, even though it's the exact same concept. And it was all organic, green tea, coffee bean, Gouda Cola, chromium, all like colored with red organic beets, like nothing bad. It did so well
Yeah.
that a competitor sued us and claimed that, like, I don't know, made some like I almost died claim. It was complete bullshit. They never bought the product. There was never it's called adverse event reporting. Nobody went to the emergency room, and all of all the lawsuit bullshit was all dropped. It destroyed
Mm-hmm.
the product. It destroyed my reputation. It was all over the cover of every tabloid that Jillian Michaels sells out and tries to kill people. Nobody prints that this wasn't real. These were all dismissed. Like, the products are
No.
all natural and all organic. That never gets printed because it doesn't make good news.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't get clicks. It doesn't get clicks.
if it wasn't me, if it wasn't the Jillian Michaels product, that would have never happened.
Correct.
The TMZ would never put that on the cover of TMZ. So there are things like that where you're just all day long, you get blackmailed, or you get extorted. I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. Like, all day long, people sue you and they try to get easy payouts, and it sucks.
It
Whereas
does.
if it was just, nowadays we invest in companies we believe in, because it's like, go ahead, sue that company. Not going to end up on the cover of TMZ.
Right.
Go with God. And then it's going to get thrown out and you're going to waste all this money. So it's that part is like a real bitch, but it sucks because my livelihood is also tied up in being forward facing.
Yeah.
If I could, go back in time, I would have probably tried to brand, which was initially my initial goal, was to brand my fitness facility along the lines of something like Curbs, which nowadays a younger generation would think of it like a Soul Cycle.
Yep.
But unfortunately, I became the brand. And it has its benefits and its downsides.
It's a double-edged sword.
Very much so, yeah.
Yes. No, I agree. I agree with you. So okay, take me through. Okay, you finished off your 10th season. I guess the show just ended. I mean, you told me that there was this conflict between your personal brand and the show. So did it end tumultuously, or did it end in a good way? What happened there?
I was always off and on the show. So it really was like, I don't know, 15 seasons. I can't even recall, but it was roughly 10 years. I ended my stint on it in 2015. And it was because this was a big deal that a lot of people don't remember. But there were 3 trainers on the show. Each trainer had their group of contestants.
Yep.
One of the contestants, who was not mine, came into the finale and she looked, honest to God, like she had come out of a concentration camp. I'm not exaggerating. And it wasn't my contestant. I hadn't spoken to her. I hadn't worked with her. And I say that because I would never let this happen. But she did it to win, right? Because that was what was fundamentally wrong with the show, to be dead honest, it was whoever lost the most weight won. And that is what was really wrong with the show, not helping people lose weight. So, when that happened, it was a huge thing. And I realized at that point I had to separate myself from the brand. And I ended up having like a huge fight with the network and the producers. And I was like, how could you do this? How could you not disqualify her? How could you put us all in this position? Like, this is so irresponsible. It's going to destroy your show. It's going to destroy our brands. They didn't give us the heads up at all. We had no idea. Myself and Bob had no idea.
You first saw this woman when she hit the stage,
and she hit the stage
on like a recording, like in a studio.
Nope, live television.
Television.
I quit that week permanently.
Okay, so once you're. Wow. I mean, okay. So
I was really upset about it. It was a huge thing. And I realized
there's that, losing sword in. Yeah, no, go ahead.
It was guilt by association. As much as I tried not to take responsibility for it, I still profited off the platform.
Right.
And was associated with the platform, benefiting from the platform, and no longer felt that the platform was being responsible. And I wasn't a producer on the show, which was also frustrating for me because I felt that I was the foremost expert on the show who could make the best decisions for the health of our contestants in conjunction with finding the right medical professionals to work with them. And anyway, it had its same thing.
Yeah.
That which nourishes me also destroys me. Same game.
Double-edged sword, right? That's how it is.
Yeah.
But no, I would think that for that show, it would really be about it's the Biggest Loser because they're quantifying how you improve your health by, I guess, how many pounds you lose or what percentage of body fat you get down to. But once it gets to that point, it's somebody's just gaming it to win at the cost of their health. So I can understand you as a professional in the health industry wouldn't sit well with you. So that was the catalyst for you to leave.
Over the years, there have been branding issues and contractual issues and them trying to lock up certain categories of business. And I was like, I'm not coming back. Then I'd skip a season. Then we'd do another deal because they'd give me the category. And this was the end. That I was like, okay, this is it. This is no longer in the cost benefit analysis, right?
Yep.
It was doing, at that point, I was like, okay, now we've crossed over into doing more harm than good. The fact that nobody eliminated this girl, nobody put in parameters of like, you are not allowed to, it just fundamentally was broken at its core. And the reason I say that is because, initially the show, nobody knew they were going to end up losing hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So nobody had built in these safety stops.
Right.
Even though it was in, season whatever the heck it was. And then nobody thought to I have no idea. To this day, I don't know. They ruined the brand with things like that. And you look at stuff like Survivor, still on the air, Bachelor, still on the air. There's no reason Biggest Loser shouldn't still be on the air if it had been done the right way.
Jillian, you don't have any concerns, if you don't mind me asking, and we can cut this out, but you don't have any concerns talking about this, like in a public forum?
I've talked about it a million times. It's
Gotcha.
not a secret at all. Yeah.
Okay. So Jillian, so you finished at the Biggest Loser. You've now established yourself as kind of this darling in a really nice niche, right? In this niche of health and wellness and fitness and nutrition. You're a personality. You're a celebrity in this niche. You went on to do way more. I mean, I can go back to this tale of the tape, but like it keeps going on and on. So at what point did you decide to do your app?
Well, DVDs became irrelevant or rather obsolete. So
the app came after. The app came after the DVDs.
Yes. The app came after. Unfortunately for us, and I say us, myself, my business partner, our company, there are again downsides to being prolific. Putting out DVDs and books and so on and so forth. And we were also in a deal with a company called Everyday Health, who had the license on my name for anything digital. And this is before there were iPhones. Right. This is before there were apps. So we couldn't get into the app business when we needed to because they had my name and likeness in the category. My business partner didn't actually do that deal. He wasn't my business partner at the time. It was ICM. But nobody could have foreseen apps. There was a flip phone. When we did that deal.
Absolutely.
So
but did you
get into the market on it?
Did you sell the rights to your personal brand?
No, license. It was a license. But it was a license for a category. Right. The category was digital. But so digital then included.
Yeah.
So
right. I understand.
So they had JillianMichaels.com where I would create the meal plans and create the workouts, and Everyday Health licensed my name to run their website, or the website in my name. I created the content for it. But then as the world began to shift over to apps, I was prohibited for years from getting into the space when I should have gotten into it in like 2013.
But
I wasn't able to get until 2016.
But you were compensated during this period, so it wasn't a total wash, right? The licensing deal paid you on a regular basis.
But it was a total wash because had we gotten into the app business at the appropriate time, we would have been able probably to have done a far bigger land grab and not allowed in its business certain competitors to get a foothold the way that they did.
But you're not doing badly. I mean, you've got
we're talking about we didn't exit the app for $400 million. Sweat did. That should have been us.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. That should have been us, but because we couldn't be in the landscape at all, Nike,
why
did
Why did you decide to become essentially an entrepreneur and take all of the risks associated with entrepreneurship? Why did you decide to do that after exiting the show versus signing on and continuing to be, I don't want to say just talent, because talent, like I see how much talent works. Why did you decide to become an entrepreneur versus continuing with a career as a personality, a media personality?
I was very entrepreneurial during Biggest Loser, which was part of the problem, right? So it was the licensing deals, the branding, the products. They wanted to do all their own stuff. So we would go head to head as competitors. I maintain a presence in the media. Just in the past 2 weeks, I did Today Show, Megyn Kelly, wrote an op-ed for Newsweek, Good Day New York. I mean, this year I've been on, when Ryan was still on the show, Kelly and Ryan, Kelly Clarkson, Jennifer Hudson. I do all of that, whether it's print or whether it's digital or whether it's podcasting or whether it's social. Nowadays you have to have your fingers in every basket. We continue to do all of these things in all different forms of media. TV in particular I don't believe pays nowadays. I just don't know that that's where the eyeballs are. I think it is for scripted drama.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna watch Yellowstone,
Yeah.
but you know, it just you can get more views on a reel than a cable show nowadays.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know what? Look, you're answering the question indirectly, but you're answering it very clearly. Bottom line is you're an entrepreneur, and you didn't dive into. And there's nothing. Look, I'm not taking anything away from being talented and being on a show and being a star. These people work hard. I know some celebrities, and you're an entrepreneur. Period. That's it. That's the answer to the question. Is you're just an entrepreneur. Like. It's in your DNA. I want to be respectful of your time because I know you've got a hard stop in 5 minutes. You told me that it means you have to time out. So I want to start getting into
I fires to put out, Gary.
No, listen, I know I don't want to hold you back too much because I know
I did not have this fire yesterday.
You're all good.
Fire.
You're all
this is my point. Defense all day.
You're
long.
all good. You're all good. By the way, I still want to I'm assuming I have a rain check on that dinner and we're all going to hang out.
I would love that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're here.
And you know what? We can just hang out too. Even if Valeria's busy, because she's the busy one. She's off all over the world doing her thing. So I would love to just hang out. But let me ask you something. Okay, so what's next? Did you expect to be where you are? Like at your age and at this stage in life, did you expect any of this? Like when you look back, do you sometimes stop yourself and look around and say, holy shit, like how did this happen? I was an 18-year-old kid getting a black belt, college dropout, and now I'm Jillian freaking Michaels. I'm living this life. I'm a celebrity. I've got all of this stuff going on, apps, appearances, philanthropy, books. Oh my God. Like, how do you prepare yourself for this? How do you reconcile all of this success?
When I was younger, I did think that, it was like, wow, look how far I've come. Now I think, look at all the benchmarks I missed. Because by 49, I feel we should have been the one that exited that app for $400 million. I'm like, God damn it, that was such a mistake.
That shit doesn't leave you. I
have so many of them. So many of those mistakes. So sure, when I was younger, I was like, wow, I can't believe how lucky I've gotten. And I do think luck is preparation meeting opportunity.
Yes.
But once I was given this platform, I do feel often like, God damn it, I should have been farther along here. I should have been farther along there. I should have had a media company. Like, look what Martha Stewart did. Look what Oprah Winfrey did. Look what, and it's there's these things that I just torture me that I failed at or didn't achieve, and I don't want to be negative. I'm just being honest. I think that with all I was given, I should have been able to be farther along at this point.
Right. So my comment for you when you say this is that I'm actually quite surprised because am I allowed to say how old you are? Is that an okay thing for me?
Yeah,
to say? I think it's pretty public.
Go ahead.
You're only 50. So you're
49. 49. Take it easy.
I apologize. I was projecting. I just turned 50. So, Jillian, you're 49 who looks like a 30-year-old, if not younger.
No, but you know that one, but I'll take it.
It's true. You know it's true. And what I'm saying is that what makes you believe that you're not going to be at this Oprah level? What makes you believe that you're not going to pivot into something that's going to get you that $400 million exit? Because from where I'm sitting, I believe that you're going to do that. I actually have no doubt that you're going to do that.
I'm not saying it's not possible. $400 million exits are no longer possible. Like, those days are over, and the days of being Oprah, quite honestly, are over. Because there's just not a platform. Oprah is an anomaly as a human. We have to give her that. But even if you could kind of imposter syndrome your way into pretending you're that great, she was one of 4 things on television every single day. Now, there are millions upon millions upon millions of things that you can watch on demand, any place, anytime, anywhere. Like, you'll never be able to aggregate an audience like that again. The days are over. So, the days of selling a company based on sales are over. Now it's all based on EBITDA. So, there are things that have become harder and harder to achieve as the world changes. But it's not to say that we couldn't exit this one business for a great number, and I couldn't end up striking a different chord in a certain aspect of media again, or being more instrumental in evolving young, fresh talent and growing companies I believe in. It's just, and I'm not saying I won't do it. I'm just saying that by this age, as I've watched people who, we were just talking about this the other day, this company Noom.
Yep.
It's big tech. And now they're getting into pharma. And I'm thinking, and they were going after like a $10 gazillion valuation. And I just thought, hold on a second. Nobody does weight loss. Nobody does. This is my subspecialty. Now, if you said go build Superman's body, I'd probably refer you to Gunnar Peterson. It's like doctors. Trainers are like doctors. My subspecialty, I am fantastic. I am the best at what I do, at getting people to lose weight and getting them overall fit, right?
Yep.
You're a performance athlete, not going to be me. You want to pack on up, want to be a bodybuilder, not going to be me. This is a weight loss app. And I just think, like, how did we, it's things like that. There's nobody behind it. It's just a big tech company. And it's stuff like that I'm like, those are the things that I'm like, how did we fuck that? Wait, how did we miss that? There's still a lot that I fail at, that I screw up, that I could have done better. A lot. So when I was younger, I was like, wow. Now I'm like, oh God, gotta run faster, gotta try harder, gotta wake up earlier. That kind of stuff.
Yeah. But Jillian, by all measures of success, not only monetary, right? Like you're there, and like you said to me, I know that you're already married, and I've met Deshana, she's lovely, and you've found yourself, and you've got these beautiful kids, which I haven't met yet. But by the way, how did your son like the autograph from? What was his?
Nobu.
From Nobu. That was hilarious.
This is what happens when you raise a child in Malibu for the first 10 years of his life.
I was surprised. I was surprised because that's like, you're saying that Nobu, the chef behind like the Nobu restaurants, that is a celebrity to your son.
Yes, Nobu and Devin Booker, sports stars. Those are his. Those are his heroes, if you will. He loved it, and thanks to you and Valeria for helping me get that signature for him. He was overjoyed.
It was thanks to Valeria. It was thanks to Valeria. It had nothing to do with me. I remember I was
standing with ball boss, which is awesome.
I was standing with Deshana, and we were like, Valeria grabbed you and took you into his cabana. This was in Dubai. This was at the cabana by the pool in Dubai, and she took you over there to get his autograph, and you took pictures, and Valeria took the pictures.
She's like, we're doing this. And I was like, there's security at the cabana. She's like, we're going. And what a little gangster. She's just incredible. She's an incredible woman, and you are an incredible couple together. Really, 100%. Yeah.
Thank you. Jillian, I want to be respectful of your time. Look, thank you very much. You're very kind, and you're very kind for doing this with me, knowing that this is so new for me, and I'm still learning, and I'm trying to get better at this, and I'm iterating on this, and I feel that not only should I thank you for being on the podcast, but thank you for allowing me to kind of get more practice and get better at this. And you just make it easy because you and I have the rapport from before. Although all the people that I've interviewed, I have a rapport, like I know them from before, but with you it's so much easier. And I really do want to get together as soon as possible. We both live in Miami, right? So there's no reason.
We're here. We're in Italy for for this wedding celebration for a few weeks, and then we're back.
We're actually leaving on Monday. We're going to Europe. We're taking our kids to London for a week and Paris for a week. They've never been to Europe.
Oh, awesome. Good for you. That's so great. We decided not to take the kids on this one.
Oh, really?
Because, oh my God, it just, when we started to look at the wedding logistics with kids overseas. We did like a family based, just a little ceremony, the courthouse, the dinner with the kids and the parents and the whole thing. But taking the kids to Europe, I was just like, okay, that's going to be an undertaking, and we can't manage both things. And you have 3 kids. That just goes to show your absolute dedication as parents. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, where am I going to go? That's it. They're mine. Jillian, thank you for everything. I'm gonna see you soon. Enjoy Italy,
All right.
and we'll connect when we get back. Jillian, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
It's my pleasure. I had a blast.